Hey, this is ADVTRES, and we're going to do a what to know before you go overlanding in Death Valley. We took a 4-day camping trip, and I'm going to cover some of the highlights. The first thing to go in with knowing is Death Valley's huge. If you're used to rolling in Yosemite, just know that Death Valley is 3 times as big as that park. So plan distances, time, travel, gas accordingly. And to kind of put that in perspective, if you look at Google Maps, you can see Death Valley takes up a huge expanse of land. In comparison to Kings Canyon, Stanislaus, Yosemite, Death Valley is like all those parks combined into one. So I've done off-roading in Kings Canyon, I've done off-roading in Stanislaus, and you feel like you're out in the middle of nowhere compared to how big Death Valley is. So for my trip, I completely misjudged how long it would take to get from point A to point B because the distances are so great. And as an example, if you're planning to, gas up or emergency services or getting towed out, like Furnace Creek to Ridgecrest, which is the closest big town, is like 2 hours. Stovepipe Wells is a little bit less. And the highlight or the good thing to note is Stovepipe Wells, you can get gas there. And speaking of gas, like if you're on, and just know Death Valley doesn't have any mobile for a lot of Death Valley, no mobile service. But if you had to get gas, it says that there's gas available in Trona, just know there isn't. And really your gas up spot is going to be Stovepipe Wells. So let's talk about some things, at least I think, my personal opinion, what you're gonna need for overlanding trip in Death Valley. And as a solo overlander: water, gas, tools, spare tire, good spare tire, tire repair kit, lighting, a battery starter in case you run your battery down, and some way to charge your equipment. Now for Alice, I got the 4Runner spare gas can. It held 5 gallons, and to note, I was hoping I wouldn't need it. I didn't need it. I actually provided it to another overlander who had run out of gas. We also took 10 gallons of water in the Spectre water tanks. And the one with the white handle was the water that the purified water that you can get at any supermarket. And the other one was just washing water, which we filled up at the hose. In Alice, I carried two 4Runner boxes. One box is all my tire pressure, the fast charger. This is the Nyko, I don't know, whatever it was, a GX45. Haven't had to use it. It's the fast charging one. I also have a tire repair kit, which at least in my experience is a pain in the butt to use, and some spare tire caps in case any of those get damaged, and my tire pressure deflator and tire pressure checker. I also carry a horse blanket in case I need to use my winch, and a spare carpet for just camping out. The next box is really just full of tools, right? You should be able to self-recovery as best as you can. I have extra soft shackles. I have a bunch of different types of screwdrivers. I also carry, miscellaneous tools for, gosh knows what. And not only for me, but in case I run into somebody else that needs help. A voltmeter, I don't know how to use a voltmeter, but at least I know if something's going to get power or not, or something's getting power. And this kind of cool tool roll that my husband had made. Also on Alice, we have the Molly panel, so we have first aid, bear spray, hatchet, fire extinguisher, extra keys, and you can kind of see it all in the back of the truck. And I'm sure you're asking yourself, wow, that looks so bright. How did you get such a bright light? Well, let me show you. It's a super quick setup USB cable and this climate Everglow light tubes. The Everglow light tubes, this is it without the Everglow light tube, of it with the Everglow light tube, and it really provides a lot of light. It's a LED light. It has a magnet in it, so you can put it about anywhere, and it deflates into that little satchel, which is really nice, and I keep it on the rig, and you can use it if you need to do like repairs on the truck at night. Bring it into the tent for tent lighting. So this is super handy. It was super useful at Death Valley because We're camping in of course, the winter, so the days are short. And I use it with the Goal Zero, which I recommend. I'm sure you have something like it. I have the solar panels as well to charge it. And the Goal Zero Yeti worked out really good. Charged up the phones, the iPad, my cameras, and it pretty much lasted the entire 4 days with one charge on the 4Runner. So we had 4 days, and we were able to see quite a bit in Death Valley. And really to kind of roll through it then, Trona, you can see on the Death Valley map, they say it has gas. It does not. We took this Trona Wild Road up to Ballarat. And Ballarat's kind of cool. You're going to spend some time there. I've got another video, part 1 of this, that covers some of that. And then from Ballarat, you can see the red-lined road, and then it comes down into Goler Canyon and then into Butte Valley. And we ended up spending 2 days in Butte Valley. There's quite a bit to see. You can hike around the Butte. You can go up to, there used to be an old mining town gold field. And then along this Warm Springs Canyon, there's the old Borax mines, the old Borax machines, tons of stuff to see. So even just driving out of Butte Valley down Warm Springs Canyon Road, figure that's going to take you, half a day or a day just to kind of take in all the sights. And the thing to note here, which I didn't know going into it, is I knew Goler Canyon was rough, but I didn't know these kind of hash lines here mean, rough road. It's not until you get to the double solid lines that the road is actually, drivable. But again, those are, catch as catch can. There's still a lot of rocks, dips, and things to look out for. Up through and kind of past the natural bridges and the artist palette, those things were packed with people. And this is actually, going on day 2. So we didn't take BD Cutoff, we took Mud Canyon Road, and we went up heading towards Rhyolite and Titus Canyon. And you can see the Titus Canyon Road and then Rhyolite. And, honestly, you could spend half a day just exploring Rhyolite. If you use Gaia or I think it was Gaia, there's a lot of, off-roads that are completely doable for any 4x4 to go explore. So I highly recommend spending some time up there. There's really some, if you're into that kind of thing, right? And then on the 3rd day, so we spent 2 days in Butte Valley. On the 3rd day, we ended up camping down an Emigrant campground, which I don't recommend. It's right off of the road. There's actually some good places to camp. You can see down Emigrant Canyon Road, there's that vehicles longer, there's plenty of campsites there. There's campsites along Skidoo, that Limonge. No need to camp at Emigrant. I don't recommend it. And additionally, this Chloride Cliff area, we actually thinking the next time we go back, we'll probably base camp up here. The road we went down part of the road. It was definitely doable, especially compared to Goler Wash. So, areas to check out or to think about when you're up in the area. And of course, on the way out, our 4th day, we went down Emigrant Canyon Road and went to the Skidoo townsite, and along Emigrant Canyon, you'll also run into the Jorgensen mine. And then we came out through Wild Rose back to Ridgeview, whatever it's called. So you can plan that it's going to be a day, especially in the short days of December, to get from Ballarat over to Butte Valley. If you're stopping to see the sights, I have another video on that. And no need to camp at the geologist cabin or those other cabins. There's plenty of really great places to camp in Butte Valley. We, on the 3rd day, we came up to the Chloride Cliffs, which was really cool. You could probably spend a day exploring those. And then we went up to Rhyolite. Lots of areas to wheel there. And then came down Titus Canyon. So all in all, it was 1 day to Butte Valley, 1 day exploring Butte Valley and canyon, 1 day through Titus Canyon, and then 1 day through Skidoo. Butte Valley is really the highlight, one of the highlights of the trip for me. We pretty much had the valley all to ourselves there, and it is really remote, so there's no question on to why that happened. And there's lots of things to see there. Up on the southern end of the valley, there's an old mining area to check out with a bunch of old mines. There's lots of, artifacts and geology to look at. And like we stumbled across, an old shack site. And then coming out of the I think it's Wild Rose Canyon, there's old borax mills, mining equipment, lots of old mines to go explore. And the road is actually pretty good once you get out of Butte Valley. So it really gives you the opportunity to kind of hike around, check out the old mining equipment. And highlight is there's a lot of these, they're just, deep pit mines. And then going through Rhyolite, there's some of the old building structures that you can look at, and then you can take some of those. Gail will show you some of the old roads that you can take. And then coming through Titus Canyon, you can go into Leadfield, lots of hiking and things to explore down there. Plus the canyon is just, it was amazing for me. I had never driven through Canyonland like that, and also felt so remote. There's petroglyphs to see, though you have to, kind of really look at the rock to see them. And the geology is just amazing. You can see the stratification and the layering in the rock. And one of the things that we did that I recommend as well is you'll see Manly Peak out there by Butte Valley. On Audible, you can download William Manly's recount of their immigration from Wisconsin out to California during the 1947-49 gold rush. And it's a really good tale to listen to as you're driving through the scenery. They talk about, not having any water and the roughness of the road and, the desperation, which in an overlanding vehicle, especially if you're thinking about, I might run out of gas, it does relate in some ways. But again, I highly recommend that, as you're driving through the canyons and hanging out at camp at night, to kind of listen to Manly recount some of his tales from the early California immigration days. I don't want to overly bore you with some of the scenery, but I do want to, if you make it to Death Valley, Titus Canyon is a must-see. You could probably do it in an all-wheel drive. You more than likely could do it in an all-wheel drive vehicle. You don't need four-wheel drive for it, but at the minimum, I would recommend all-wheel drive. And in my previous video and in this video as well, you'll hear me say time and time again, make sure you have good tires. I actually emailed Nitto and said, thank you for these great tires, because I seriously had peace of mind. And when we were in Skidoo, we ran across another family that had a 4Runner. And the first thing, they had street tires on it, and the first thing the individual asked me was, what kind of tires do you have? Because it is something, that you're thinking about in the back of your mind as you're wheeling is, my gosh, I definitely don't want to get a tire out here in the middle of nowhere. And also, have a good spare and know where your key is for the bolts of your spare. I know I've seen a couple videos now of people getting flat tires and not having that unlock bolt for their tire, which baffles me, but I can understand it would happen. The other thing, and I said this earlier in the video, is we did come across another wheeler that had run out of gas. And when I was talking to the individual, they were like, a bunch of other wheelers went by me and didn't even stop. And it kind of hurt my heart a little bit, but that is something to think about when you're out there. Is, one of the things we think about is, there's other people driving by that would help me. But you know what? Maybe that's not a guarantee, because this individual said that several vehicles had went by them and had not stopped at all. So my thing is, you know, if you need to ask for help, then definitely ask for help, but try to have enough equipment on your vehicle that for, you know, 80% or 60% of the stuff you could self-recover. And kind of what I told my husband is I didn't want our trip to be ruined because we got a flat tire or the battery died, right? We had the equipment on board that we could resolve that easily, if that did arise. And then the last couple things is, of course, you know, Jorgensen Mill. There's some, you know, old equipment out there that you can look at. There's some, you know, and Jorgensen Mill, I definitely recommend getting out of your car and hiking, because there's some, you know, really cool old cars that are, you know, back there. Skidoo, you could spend half a day tromping around Skidoo. Do not miss the Skidoo Mill. You actually have to, you know, when you hit Skidoo, you drive through it and just hang to your left, and there'll be kind of like a little shelf road. Just follow it. It doesn't go too far, and then the road will stop. There's plenty of area to park, and then you can hike over to the mill, and it is super cool. So for whatever you do, don't miss the old mill. Just be careful kind of, you know, moving around it, but pretty much the equipment's there. It's in a very picturesque place, and really cool to see. And then around Skidoo, there's tons of old mines. There's like an old shaft mine. And then of course, when you come out of Ridgecrest, you know, get a picture of your vehicle. So that's it for now. Hope to see you down the trail, and talk to you soon. Alice out.